Hey you guys, it's me Gemstone at tarotfreehealing.com. I hope you guys are doing really well. This is your weekly reading and it is for the Geminis, and I'm going to be using the Beautiful Creatures deck. I don't have the box to show you because I packed the box away, and so this deck always stays on my table without a box. So this reading is for the week beginning the 27th of June through to the 3rd of July. So let's see what is showing up for the Geminis. Okay, your first card is the Four of Airs, which would be the Four of Swords. Your next card is the Swinging One. And your last card is Ten of Fires, which would be the Ten of Wands. So, what do your cards say? Your cards, it's so interesting how the tarot works, because I think that your cards exactly the way you are, Gemini, about being, representing the twins, representing almost like the two sides, the duality, polarity. Your cards are showing that same thing. Like, on the one hand, you have the Four of Airs, which is like the rest, recuperation, taking the time out you need to recharge. And then on the other side, you have the workhorse, the person that is like working themselves, like pushing themselves the hardest that they can, just all about their work. So I feel like maybe you're trying to find that balance, and surprisingly enough, you have the Hangman right in the middle. And so it's almost like, but because of where they are, if they were the other way around, it would almost represent moving from a state of hard work, changing into moving from a state of rest. Now, I'm not saying for some of you guys it may not come up that way. It actually could be coming up that way. But being that the Four of Airs came up first and was ending on the Ten of Fires, it's almost saying that some of you guys have already been resting. So maybe you've already taken some kind of break or some kind of retreat from something, and now you've changed your mind, and now you're going into it like fully, like you're just in it, and you're just in it to win. You're just like, okay, I've taken the time I need to get into this work situation. For some of you guys, it could, the Four of Airs can also represent when maybe on a health level you haven't been feeling that good. Maybe you just couldn't, you couldn't invest yourself fully because maybe you were just too tired, or just physically, like you were just either ill, or you needed that rest and that recuperation period. But then with the Hangman, it's like your perspective has changed. And the Hangman is also another card that can represent when things are kind of, a bit at a standstill, because they're still kind of in limbo. Things haven't been settled yet for you to really initiate something. And it also is that I think that because you're a Gemini, and you're an air signs, we're about the mind. It could be saying that maybe you had to reassess the situation, you had to think it through thoroughly. So you had to take that break so that you could really think it through, really digest the information, and then with that information you started to see things in a different way. Or maybe you were doing some research and then you found out something and you were like, oh wow, like, and that kind of changed your perspective on something. And now, because you have that information, you know what you want to do. Now all of a sudden you're full guns a blazing, like you just really invested and you're just really working it out now. The only thing with both cards is I kind of feel like there is two extremes or in these cards, because it's almost like you go from a complete state of rest to almost like the just complete end of the spectrum, where you're just like, and maybe for some of you guys that's how you work, like you there's no in between for you. It either has to be you're not invested or you are invested. You're going to do it or you're not going to do it. And it's like, there might not be any kind of, okay, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna, maybe I'll do possibly, like, I feel like, there's this extreme energy. And what I would say is that with the hangman in the middle, the hangman is almost saying that you have to kind of think, how can you balance things in a better way? Now the hangman usually for me doesn't always signify balance, but I kind of feel like that's what the hangman is saying. It's almost like you have to think, how can I strategize the situation to where I am being productive, but I'm not over exerting myself? Because I feel that what's gonna happen with this 10 of fire energy is that it burns out. That's what it is. When you have, like 10 of fire is almost like having like loads of fire. Eventually it has to burn out, and basically our bodies burns out as well. If you keep on going and going and going, at one point your body is going to start to feel fatigue, and this is the fatigue. So be careful about, being tempted to overwork, overexert yourself, or force yourself in some kind of way beyond what you feel is comfortable for you at this time, because I feel like you can almost run yourself back down into needing to rest, needing to recuperate, and things like that. And so if you just balance it out and you're getting the rest when you need it, you're working and you're kind of, able to do both things, you'll work out things much better for yourself. But I feel that the reason why you are working so hard is because, in this card, there's a lot of butterflies. So butterflies are representing transformations. So I feel like you are trying to transform things in your life. And with this energy of needing to transform, maybe you really feel pushed to, okay, if I want this thing, I have to really go for it. I have to really do it to see the change. And so I think maybe that kind of belief could be what is kind of pushing you forward. But again, I would just say, just kind of be careful, because it can run out after a while if you're not careful. So peace and many blessings to you, Gemini. I'll be seeing you. Bye.